Welcome, welcome, my lovely brothers and sisters. Welcome to a new beautiful day filled with love and joy. And today we are going to end this journey we did through paper 67 from the Urantia book number 3, that was and is all about the history of Urantia. Paper 67 was all about the Planetary Rebellion. The topics for today is beginning with Remote Repercussions of Sin, and the last section is titled The Human Hero of the Rebellion. So let us start and change screen here. All right, so now everyone can read along. Section 7, Remote Repercussions of Sin. The personal consequences of the creature's willful and persistent rejection of light are both inevitable and individual, and are of concern only to deity and to that personal creature. Such a soul-destroying harvest of iniquity is the inner reaping of the iniquitous will creature, but not so with the external repercussions of sin. The impersonal, centrifugal consequences of embraced sin are both inevitable and collective, being of concern to every creature functioning within the affect range of such events. By 50,000 years after the collapse of the planetary administration, earthly affairs were so disorganized and retarded that the human race had gained very little over the general evolutionary status existing at the time of Caligastia's arrival 350,000 years previously. In certain respects, progress had been made. In other directions, much ground had been lost. So hearing all this and hearing this whole storyline about the Planetary Rebellion, if you want to speak over a so-called fall of man, then you can say that this planetary rebellion has caused this what you could call fall of man. Yeah, it was not done by Adam and Eve, but in actuality, because Adam and Eve came after the rebellion took place. So in the Bible, it has been stated, that all the fingers are pointed toward Adam and Eve, and they are the boogeyman, and they are the ones that brought the human race in a fall, which is not the case at all. You can say that this planetary rebellion has in actuality brought a lot of the human race lines in a what you could call fall, because not all humans were led astray. Not all human races were dealing with all the consequences of this planetary rebellion. Some tribes truly progressed further, but a huge amount of tribes did not. Sin is never purely local in its effects. The administrative sectors of the universes are organismal. The plight of one personality must to a certain extent be shared by all. Sin, being an attitude of the person toward reality, is destined to exhibit its inherent negativistic harvest upon any and all related levels of universe values, but the full consequences of erroneous thinking, evil doing, or sinful planning are experienced only on the level of actual performance. The transgression of universal law may be fatal in the physical realm without seriously involving the mind or impairing the spiritual experience. Sin is fraught with fatal consequences to personality survival only when it is the attitude of the whole being, when it stands for the choosing of the mind and the willing of the soul. Evil and sin visit their consequences in material and social realms and may sometimes even retard spiritual progress on certain levels of universe reality, but never does the sin of any being rob another being of the realization of the divine right of personality survival. Eternal survival can be jeopardized only by the decisions of the mind and the choice of the soul of the individual himself. Sin on Urantia did very little to delay biological evolution, but it did operate to deprive the mortal races of the full benefit of the Adamic inheritance. Sin enormously retards intellectual development, moral growth, social progress, and mass spiritual attainment. And as a matter of fact, look at the world today. Many people still are making the choice to rebel against God, against His creation, against life, against the universe. So we see this in high levels, yeah. We see this in all these world leaders, prime ministers, a lot of political figures. We see this in the top of CEOs of organizations, institutions, governmental body, corporations, and so on. But we also see it in the rest of society that there's still a huge group of human beings that have chosen to do sin, to commit sin, and thus to be rebellious against God and against the universe. And the rest, needs to deal with this, and that is not always easily done. But it does not prevent the highest spiritual achievement by any individual who chooses to know God and sincerely do His divine will. Caligustia rebelled, Adam and Eve did default. But no mortal subsequently born on Urantia has suffered in his personal spiritual experience because of these blunders. So here they refer to the idea that is being stated in the Bible as well as preached for far too long time, that we are born in a sinful world and we are born sinners. This is not the case, brothers and sisters. We are born as pure, loving human beings, souls, personalities, and later, due to the choices that we have made, also because we got tremendously influenced by people who do not have such a great influence on us. We, yeah, sometimes have walked the wrong path. But it doesn't say that we are born sinners and that this world is a sinful world. Every mortal born on Urantia since Caligastia's rebellion has been in some manner time penalized. But the future welfare of such souls has never been in the least eternity jeopardized. No person is ever made to suffer vital spiritual deprivation because of the sin of another. Sin is wholly personal as to moral guilt or spiritual consequences, notwithstanding its far-flung repercussions in administrative, intellectual, and social domains. While we cannot fathom the wisdom that permits such catastrophes, we can always discern the beneficial outworking of these local disturbances, as they are reflected out upon the universe at large. Section 8, the human hero of the rebellion. The Lucifer rebellion was withstood by many courageous beings on various worlds of Satania, but the records of Salvington portray Amadon as the outstanding character of the entire system in his glorious rejection of the flood tides of sedition and in his unswerving devotion to Van. They stood together unmoved in their loyalty to the supremacy of the invisible Father and his Son, Michael. At the time of these momentous transactions, I was stationed on Edentia, and I am still conscious of the acceleration I experienced as I perused the Selfington broadcasts, which told from day to day of the unbelievable steadfastness, the transcendent devotion, and exquisite loyalty of this one-time semi-savage, springing from the experimental and original stock of the Andonic race. From Edentia up through Salvington and even on to Uversa. For 7 long years, the first inquiry of all subordinate celestial life regarding the Satania rebellion ever and always was. What of Amadon of Urantia? Does he still stand unmoved? If the Lucifer rebellion has handicapped the local system and its fallen worlds, if the loss of this son and his misled associates has temporarily hampered the progress of the constellation of Norletia Dec, then weigh the effect of the far-flung presentation of the inspiring performance of this one child of nature and his determined band of 143 comrades in standing steadfast for the higher concepts of universe management and administration in the face of such tremendous and adverse pressure exerted by his disloyal superiors. And let me assure you, this has already done more good in the universe of Nebadon and the super-universe of Orvanton than can ever be outweighed by the sum total of all the evil and sorrow of the Lucifer rebellion. And all this is a beautifully touching and superbly magnificent illumination of the wisdom of the Father's universal plan for mobilizing the core of mortal finality on paradise and for recruiting this vast group of mysterious servants of the future, largely from the common clay of the mortals of ascending progression. Just such mortals as the impregnable Amadon. And with this said, I have already come to this short book reading for today. I will do a second book reading today after I have done the Dutch version of this one. And after that one, I will come back again with a second book reading all about the Garden of Eden. All the information in this paper 67 has been presented to us by a Melchizedek of Nebadon. And I want to say to you that please take this information from an open mind, ponder upon it, ask the Holy Spirit and the Spirit of Truth to help you to get more clarification and in-depth understanding of the information that is being given to you. All right, what I say, we have already come to the end of this interesting journey that was all about the Planetary Rebellion. Let us go to the end. I want to say thank you so much for listening and reading along with me. I wish you a beautiful, joyful day filled with a lot of love and wisdom. And if you feel the urge to help a fellow brother or sister, please do so.